Hi, you guys. Today's lesson is on adding and subtracting radicals. I'm sorry that my voice is still scratchy. I made this video for you last Monday when I still had a cold, and so anyways, hopefully you can still understand what I'm saying. So when we add and subtract radicals, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you simplify all the radicals that are in your expression. Now, when I say simplify the radicals, that is something that we worked on before I left. And that is where you bring out any pairs of common factors from underneath the radicals. So we're going to need that skill again as we add and subtract radicals. Now, once all of the radicals are simplified, you want to look and see if any of the radicals have the same index and the same radicand. Now, the word index, that means, for example, this would be a square root, so the index would be 2. If I have something like this, this would be a cube root, and that index would be a 3. Okay, so on a square root, we never write the 2, but on a cube root, we always write the 3. And then same radicand means that they have the same number underneath the radical. So if you have a square root of 3 and you have 2 square roots of 3, these would be like radicals because they both have the same index, which is a square root, and then they both have the same radicand, which is the square root of 3. Okay, now if they are like radicals, the way that you combine those is just like when you learned how to combine like terms. So if we're talking about 1 root 3, and if we combine that with 2 root 3, we would add the coefficients. So the 1 and 2 added together would be a 3, and then we keep the radical the same. So this would be 3 root 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this first example. We have a negative 2 root 20, and then we have a negative 2 root 5. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I am going to take and simplify that negative 2 root 20. So if I take negative 2 root 20 and I simplify this, factors of 20 would be 4 and 5, and then for 4 it would be 2 and 2. So if I do the prime factorization, I would get 2 times 2 times 5. We have the negative 2 that's already out front of our radical. And then you can see that inside of our radical, we have a pair of 2's. And remember, anytime you have a pair, you can bring that out front as one of that pair. So negative 2 root 20 simplifies to negative 4 root 5. Okay, so instead of negative 2 root 20, I'm going to write this as negative 4 root 5. Now, remember that you can also simplify the radicals using your calculator. So if you put this in, and I want you to try this, put this in your calculator just like it is. So if you put in the negative sign and then 2 root 20, you'll see that you do get negative 4 root 5 as the simplified radical. Okay, so now we have a negative 4 root 5, we have a negative 2 root 5. And so in order to combine these like radicals, we take the negative 4 and we add the negative 2, and that's going to be a negative 6, and then we keep the radical the same. So negative 6 root 5. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at example number 1. On example number 1, you can see that we have 2 like radicals, and these are already simplified. So if they're like radicals, they're already simplified. The only thing you need to do is to add the coefficients. So I have a 3 and I have a negative 2. So 3 plus negative 2 is 1. And then I'm going to keep the radical the same. So 1 root 6. Okay, number 2. You can see that we have a 2 root 5 and another 2 root 5. Again, in this example right here, these are already like radicals, and neither one of them can be simplified. So we're going to take and add the coefficients together. 2 plus 2 is 4, and then we keep the radical the same, so 4 root 5. Okay, on number 3, we have 10 root 7 and then we have 2 root 63. And the way that you can decide if a radical has already been simplified, if you don't know, is you can put that in your calculator just like it is. So I have a calculator right here, okay? You guys know how to use these. So that what you would do is you would do 10, and then you would do second, and then you would do the button that says, let me see if I can show you, turn it this way, x squared, and then you would do 7, and then you would arrow over. And when you hit enter, you can see, let me see if I can make this show up. You can see that it shows that it is 10 root 7, okay? So that means that one would not simplify. But then if we take the 2 root 63, I'm going to do that by hand right here while you guys are typing that one in your calculator. So 63 would factor to 9 and 7 and 3 and 3. So 3 times 3 times 7. We have a 2 out front. We have a pair of 3s. So those 2 3s come out front as 1 3. So 2 times 3 root 7 is 6 root 7. Okay? And if you guys put that in your calculator as 2 root 63, then you are going to see that that simplifies to 6 root 7. Now, both of these have been simplified, so we combine the coefficients. 10 plus 6 is 16, and we keep the radical the same. Okay, so let's go ahead and try number 4. So in your calculator, you're going to put in the square root of 15, and then enter. So when you do the square root of 15, you'll see that that one does not simplify. Okay, and then you're going to put in negative 6 root 60. Be very careful with this because there is a subtraction sign in front of the 6. It is a negative 6 root 60. So when you put that in your calculator, and I'm going to go ahead and do this one by hand really quick, we would have 2 and 3. We would have 2 and 5. We have 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 with a negative 6 out front. These two pairs come out front. Negative 6 times 2 times 15 is negative 12 root 15. So that's what you should have gotten in your calculator. And now we have 1 root 15, and we have a negative 12 root 15. And so that one is going to be a negative 11 root 15. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one. So in your calculator, you're going to put in 2 root 32, and you'll see that that simplifies to 8 root 2. And then you are also going to put in the negative 3 root 18. And you'll see that that simplifies to negative 9 root 2. And I need you guys trying these in your calculator to make sure that you're getting these right answers. And now they're like radicals because they both have a root 2. So we combine the coefficients. We would take the 8. We would combine with a negative 9. And we get a negative 1 root 2. Okay, so let's just try a few more of these really quick together. And then I need to show you one more thing, which is combining 3 like radicals. Okay, so number 6, in your calculator, you're going to put in, and everyone do this, please grab your calculators, put in negative 4 and then square root 28. So that one is going to simplify to negative 8 root 7. And then when we simplify the 4 root 12, you're going to do 4 second square root and then 1/12, and that gives you 16 root 7, and that's a positive. And then when you simplify those, you're going to see that you have like radicals. They both have a root 7. So we combine these just like we combine like terms. We combine 8 and positive 16, so negative 8 plus 16 is 8. And then we leave this as root 7. Okay, we're going to go ahead and skip 7 and 8, so just go ahead and cross those off. And we're going to move to 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now the only thing that is different about these ones is there are 3 different radicals, okay? So when you combine like radicals, remember the way that you know if they can combine or not is if they have the same index and the same radicand. So we can see that these two are like radicals because they both have a square root of 10, okay? And then this one right here, this negative 3 root 6, it is not a like radical with the others. So we can't combine that with the ones that have the root 10. So the way that this works is we take the negative 2 root 10 and we combine it with the other negative 2 root 10, both of which are already simplified. They're both already simplified radicals. So that would be negative 4 root 10, and then we still have our negative 3 root 6. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at number 10. On number 10, you have two radicals that are like radicals. You have a 2 root 7 and you have a positive 4 root 7. So that is going to be a positive 6 root 7. And then we have plus 5 root 3. And we can't combine either one of these because one has a root 7 and one has a root 3. Okay, now on number 11, the only thing that makes this one a little bit different is that this radical and this radical can simplify. So let's go ahead and simplify first. Grab your calculators. You're going to do negative 3 and then root 50. And that would be negative 15 root 2. Okay, and then you are going to do the root 18. So the root 18 simplifies to 3 root 2. And then you still have your negative 3 root 3. So this one and this one, these are like radicals because they both have a root 2. So the way that you combine them is you take the negative 15, you add 3, and that would be a negative 12 root 2. And then we still have the negative 3 root 3. Okay, last example. 2 root 8 simplifies, 4 root 96 simplifies, and negative root 24 simplifies. Remember to decide if the root simplifies or not. Just plug it in your calculator and your calculator will tell you. If you have a number that you plug in your calculator and it doesn't give you anything different than what you plugged in, then you know that that one does not simplify. But 2 root 8 simplifies to 4 root 2. And then 4 root 96, we're going to do 4 root 96, and it simplifies to 16 root 6. And then we have our negative root 24, and that simplifies to 2 root 6. So the ones that we're going to combine here are the 16 root 6, the negative 2 root 6. That is going to give us 12 root 6, and then we have a positive 4 root 2. Okay, so those are your notes. We're not going to do any more on this notes page just because I want you to be able to get done with your assignment today before you leave. So go ahead and grab your assignment. Okay, and your assignment looks like this, okay? On the front page, there are 8 questions, and I want you to do all 8 questions on the front. And then you're going to flip your paper over to the back side, and you'll see that we have a whole bunch of problems on the back side. I only need you to do the odds for this, okay? So you're going to do 1 through 23 odd. Remember that for each of these, you are simplifying your radicals first. You're deciding if they are like radicals. If they are like radicals, then you combine the coefficients and you keep the radicals the same. Once you're done with this, I left the answer key for your sub. So bring it back to your sub. Make sure that you use the answer key. Check off your own assignment. I'm going to trust you guys to make sure that you are checking off your own assignment. So check the front page. If there are any that you miss, circle them and then go back and fix them. Okay, so you're going to check your front page. You're going to check the odds on the back page, and then you'll move on to the next item that's on your Canvas list. Okay, so the next thing on your Canvas list says that once you get done with your assignment, you're going to do the adding and subtracting like radicals Google Slides. For that particular assignment, make sure that you upload your assignment to Canvas as soon as you have it done. I hope everything goes okay with your assignment. I hope that you know how to do it. I think that your sub probably watched the video along with you, so they should be able to help you. And please just make sure that as you turn in your assignment, before you turn it in, that you correct it. You make sure that you did all of them right. Fix them if you didn't. Okay, I will see you in another video tomorrow.